Hey guys, this is Chandra, and I wanted to do the tutorial for the This Guy folio that I made. I will put a link to the walkthrough in the description of this video so that you can see that. And I will start off with the measurements like I always do. You're going to need 2 sheets that measure 8 by 11, 3 that measure 8 by 8, 2 that measure 8 by 9, 2 that measure 9 by 4.5 or 4.25, 9 by 4.25. Can't read my own writing. 2 that are 8 3/4 by 8, and 4 that are 5 by 4.5. The tags that I have in this album, there's actually only really 6 tags. I mean, where the tuck spots are, I used something else. So anyway, you need 2 that measure 7 3/4 by 7 3/4 and 4 that measure 7 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I often get asked that how many pieces of paper did I use? And so I actually kept track, and it's 12 sheets of 8.5 by 11 cardstock to make the folio, and then you would need 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets to make the tags. Now on my folio, I used 110-pound cardstock for the outside. So if you want to use heavier cardstock, you certainly can. It worked fine. And the measurements for the outside of it were 2 sheets that measured 8 by 11 and 1 that measures 8 by 8, okay? In case you wanted to use the thicker cardstock. Okay, so the 3 sheets that measure 8 by 8, you're not going to score at all, so you can just put those aside. So I'm going to work with the 2 that measure 8 by 11 first. So I'm going to stick it in so that the 11-inch side is at the top. And what I mean by that, because I'm going to refer to this measurement at the top, it just means that that is what it measures across the top. So like this is 11 inches and it's going across, and so when I say 11 inches at the top, that's what I mean. The measurement of that is going across the top. If I would say 8 inches at the top, the 8-inch side of your paper would be at the top of your scoreboard. Okay, so I got that out of the way. In case you're new, welcome, subscribe. Okay, so the 2 sheets that measure 8 by 11, on the 11-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, 1.5, and 9.5. You're going to do that to both sheets. So again, you're going to, on the 11-inch side, you're going to go 1/2 inch, 1.5, and then you're going to score on the 9.5. Now, for this tutorial, I'm just using typing paper, okay? But you obviously want to use cardstock. So we're going to do that to both of those. So I'm going to do that again. Again, the 8 by 11, 1/2 inch, 1.5, and 9.5. Now you need the 2 sheets that measure 8 by 9. The 9-inch side is what we're working with, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch and then at 1. And you're going to do that to both sheets. 9-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1. Now you have 2 sheets that measure 9 by 4.25. The 9-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 8.5. And the 4.25 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. This is going to be our 2 pockets. So again, on the 9-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2, 8.5. And then the 4.25 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. So the 2 pieces that measure 8 3/4 by 8, you're going to score on the 8 3/4 inch side at 1/2 inch and 3/4. And the last scoring that we're going to be doing are the 5 by 4 inch pieces. On the 5-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 4.5, and the 4.5 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Doing that again. On the 5-inch side, I am scoring at 1/2 inch and 4.5, and on the 4.5 inch side, I am scoring at 1/2 inch. And these are going to be the pockets for the middle of the folio. Now the tags that I made for these, for the pockets, there were 4 of them. I gave you the measurements earlier, 7 3/4 by 3 3/4. What you're going to do is you're going to fold that in half to make a card. So, all right, so I'm going to put my scoreboard up. And as I always say, when you're making an album and you're using your cardstock, what you want to do is you want to use a strong adhesive, whether it be score tape, red line tape, glue, wet glue. You don't want to use a glue stick, but you can certainly use wet glue. All right, so I have one of the 8 by 8 pieces out, and I have the 2 pieces that are 8 by 11. And now what I'm going to do, try to move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. I am going to score. Now I'm going to fold on all my score marks. I'm going to make sure that my folds are straight. I have an issue with cutting or scoring things crooked. So if you want to know how to fix that, just keep on watching because I'm sure I'll mess that up. All right, so now I am folding this in on the other side. So I'm just folding on all my score marks. You just kind of want to train the paper to make it do what you want it to do, kind of like what we do with our husbands. So, folding that. I already folded this one, didn't I? Yeah, but I didn't burnish it down. All right, so we have this 8 by 8 piece, and then we have this 8 by 11 piece. So you have this 1/2 inch score mark, and then the 1 inch score mark, and then this over here is 1.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply adhesive to this 1/2 inch flap here, and I'm going to attach that to my album. But actually, you need to figure out what the front of the back is. I guess it doesn't really much matter right now, but I'm going to apply my adhesive to the inside of this. If you apply it to one side, just flip it over if it's not the right side. So my adhesive is sticking on this 1/2 inch flap, and then I'm going to stick this 8 by 8 inch piece on top of that 1/2 inch. And I want to make sure that I do not attach it over the score line. See this score line here? This score line that's right here throughout the whole paper. You want to make sure that you attach this to the right side of that so that it still moves and opens and closes and everything. So I'm going to just stick this down. I'm lining it up on the bottom just to make sure that it's straight. And again, I'm going just to the right side of that score mark. You can still see my green lines, and that's what you want, so that it still opens and closes. Okay, so I'm going to attach this piece exactly the same way. Did I zoom all the way out? Yes, I did. So I'm applying adhesive, and now I'm going to stick this opposite side on top of it. And again, I'm going to try to stay on the right side of that score mark because I do not want this to not fold right, because that would be sad. All right, so on my folio, I have a little, I don't know what you call it, tuck spot that I've created right here. This little piece right here is this little flap right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my border punch and just punch on this, okay? If you don't like that, if you don't like this, you can just cut this so it's just 1/2 inch. You can cut 1 inch off of this and just attach it regularly to the paper. But I'll show you how I did this part here. I wanted to explain that you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Or you can, I don't know, put hinges right here. Just cut out little 1 inch pieces of paper and make a little pocket instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Martha Stewart. I don't know what it's called because it doesn't have a name on it, but I think it's just a lace punch. And I'm going to start punching. And what I like to do is try to get it in the middle of the page, just so that my first punch is in the middle of the page, and that way it kind of looks the same. It doesn't really matter as much on this project because you don't really see both sides at the same time. If it was something that you were punching that you could see both at the same time, you kind of want them to line up or mirror each other. So you want to try to be consistent on that. All right. So that's the only thing I don't like about that punch. It leaves all those little dots everywhere. So there's that. And I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side. And I feel like because this is kind of big until you put it together that I should have like my camera 12 feet up in the air so you can see everything, but you'll get it. It'll be fine. Alrighty. So just dump this in the trash. Okay. So that's the only punching that I did. You could punch the top of the pockets if you wanted to give it a little more decoration. I just used this. I mean, I had some other punches, but this actually isn't mainly, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have used it. I don't know. All right. So now what you need to do is get out your other two pieces that are 8 by 8. And what I did on this is I attached some adhesive right here, and I used score tape, and I just laid my paper in there, and I was making sure that it was straight, and then I just closed the flap. Okay, and that created that little tuck spot. So what I'm going to do is the exact same thing. I'm just going to apply adhesive as close to this fold as I can, so that way it gives you enough room to tuck. I'm going to put my 8 by 8 sheet and just lay it right on top of there, and then I'm going to close this flap, and that just attaches that to that. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing to the left side. I am going to apply my adhesive. I'm going to lay my 8 by 8 sheet down. You can lift your flap up and butt this paper against that, and that way you know you're all the way to the edge. I'm making sure that this is straight across the bottom, and now I'm just going to close it. And that creates that. So that is the first page. Of course, I've only made this once, so now I got to figure out. Okay, so now we need two pieces that measure 8 by 9. I'm going to just fold on those score marks that we made. So you have 2 1/2-inch folds there on both sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply adhesive to this first 1/2-inch flap there, and then I'm going to attach it to my base. So let me see, right here is where the 2 pages attached. You can see where that green line is. This is my back of my folio, basically. It's inside back, okay? So that's important because we're going to attach the 1/2-inch flap on the right side of this mark that I just made. So you're going to do that on both of them. So again, I'm applying my adhesive on that 1/2-inch flap, and now I'm just going to fold that 1/2-inch flap down. That way I can line up this folded edge with the edge of this 8 by 8 sheet. If you want, you can miter your corners. So I'm lining that up and I'm putting it down. So now when it's open, it'll have this 1/2-inch gusset right here. And do the exact same thing to the right side. I applied adhesive to that 1/2-inch flap. Now I'm folding it down. I'm going to line up the folded edge of that 1/2-inch flap with the right side of that 8 by 8 paper, so that when it'll close like that. Okay, so we're on our way. So now I'm going to open those 2 up. The next pieces I'm going to be messing with are 8 3/4 by 8. We scored at 1/2 inch and at 3/4, I believe. And this one is going to end up being a 1/4 inch gusset. Now, I put mine on the bottom and on the top, but if you wanted to, you could certainly go ahead and put it right here, because this 1/4 inch gusset is enough to fit in there. So it will fit in there if you want it on the side and not to open up top to bottom. Okay, so there's some cat hair, and that's the 1/2 inch flap that I applied the adhesive to. And now I'm folding the 1/2 inch flap down so that you can see that 1/4 inch, I don't know, 1/4 inch gusset there. So I'm just flipping it over so that the folded edge of that flap is going to be attached to the bottom of this sheet here. And I want to make sure that I am in between the 2 score lines that are on the page that we just attached. So those 2 marks I just made, you want to make sure that you're inside of there. If you're putting it down and you see that you're going to go over one of those score lines, just take your paper cutter and take a smidgen off so that you're not going to be outside of those marks at all. Okay, because then it won't fold right. And trust me, that sucks. All right, so again, I applied adhesive to the 1/2 inch flap. I'm just rotating my paper here and I'm folding it down. So what I want to do, again, the 1/2 inch flap folded down, and now here's the folded edge. I'm going to line this folded edge up with the top of the folio. And again, I don't want to go over the score marks. I have to kind of turn this to the side, and it's not really sitting right because it is typing paper or copy paper, and so it's pretty thin and it's getting a little wonky here, but we will make it work. All right, so there we go. So I'm going to close this for now, and you will have, maybe, you will have this 1/4 inch gusset right here on the top and the bottom. And when you close these, you have this 1/2 inch gusset right here. And then right here is the actual folio 1 inch gusset. Okay. And so I have these first flaps, not the cover. This is the cover flaps, okay? These first flaps that have the 1/2 inch gusset on them, this is where I attached my pockets to. I attached them to the inside of these. And the pockets I'm referring to are the ones that measure 9 by 4 1/4 that we scored 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So we scored 1/2 inch on 2 short sides and 1 long side. So I'm just folding on my score marks crookedly, as you can see there. Probably should have lined it up better. There we go. So I'm folding on my score marks. Now I'm going to unfold this. What's going to happen is the folds are going to intersect at the bottom, and it's going to create a square at the bottom. So you see that square? What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my scissors in and cut up to the point in that square, and I'm going to do it on the other side. So it cuts out whatever shape that is. Okay, I'm going to do it on the other side as well. You do that to pockets like this so it doesn't bring bulk. Just like if you were sewing, you would cut out that part. So did that to one pocket, and now I did it to another. And since these pages are basically the same size, if you wanted to add pockets to any of the other pages, these are the same size that you would use. You could even make side pockets like this. They'll fit there as well because, you know, it's 8 by 8. So again, I'm cutting out this little corner here. I have to take some coffee. Talk too much and my mouth gets dry. All right, so now these are all, the flaps are all unfolded. So I'm going to apply adhesive to each of these 1/2 inch flaps here. I don't know what else you call them, but flappy doos. And here we go. All right. So now what I like to do is fold the two sides down and then the bottom up. Okay, so I'll do that on this one from the back. So here's the back of the envelope or the pocket. So I'm folding those down and I'm going to bring the bottom up so that the bottom attaches to the two sides. All right, so all I'm going to do is line up the folded edge on the bottom and the folded edge on the side with this paper. Again, you have this score line here. It's crooked, but it's not really crooked. So this is a 1/2 inch gusset right here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to line this side up right next to that score line and then line the bottom up and fold it down and now burnish it down. And like I said, this got scored wrong. Not scored, but it folded wrong. So I'm just going to burnish it down so that it's stuck down. Now we're going to apply the other pocket to this flap, doing exactly the same thing. I'm going to apply it just on the left side of that score mark and go down. Make sure that it's straight across. It's on the side. And then you can burnish it down so that it sticks well. Now I'm going to unfold these two flaps. We have the inside base of the folio. We have those 4 pockets. And I'm going to prepare these pockets just like we did on the other 2 pockets. So I'm going to fold on all my score marks. And then I'm going to cut out the little square that's formed by the folds. And I'll apply tape onto the little flaps and I will put them down. What I did on mine was used a circle punch to punch a little notch out of the pocket so that I could grab the little card tags things. Now if you want, or if you have punches that are similar in size, like, okay, so I have the 1 1/4 and 1 3/8 inch punches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the smaller of the two for the pocket itself, and then I can use the larger one for the patterned paper so it leaves the border around it. So all I did was flip my punch over, and these punches have little notches on the sides. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. So I kind of centered it, eyeball, you know, left and right. And then I just stopped where my paper came across those notches so that I knew that that was halfway in. So I just did that to the pockets so that it was a little easier to get the tags out. And like I said, if you use the smaller of your punches on the actual pocket, then you can use the bigger punch when you're matting, so it's easier to leave a little border around it. If you don't have punches, you can skip that step, or you can just cut a notch in, or, you know, trace something. Again, I'm just cutting out these little squares that are formed when you fold the paper. And now I'm going to apply adhesive to the 1/2 inch flap, and I'm just going to do it one at a time. I'm going to fold this bottom piece out of my way, so I'm just going to fold it up behind there for right now. So again, I'm folding my 2 sides down and my bottom to those 2 sides. And now I'm going to line up the bottom fold and the side fold with the bottom of this piece here and the side of that score mark. And again, you want to be just on the inside of that score mark. You don't want to be over it. Again, 2 sides down, bottom up. I guess it doesn't matter, whatever you want to do. And so I'm lining this up with the score line on the right, and it fits perfectly, and it butts up right next to this other pocket here. It's called measurements. I know how to take 8 inches and divide it by 2 because I have 10 fingers, so I can figure that out. So now I'm lining up the fold of this pocket with the top, the opening of the other pocket. And again, I'm staying just on the left side of that fold mark. And the last pocket. And again, this is what I was saying, that you could use your border punch on the tops of these pockets. So you can cut out your pocket and then border punch it before you put it down. It would look really cute, I think. Especially that punch for like Mother's Day or something. This would make a good Mother's Day folio as well. All right, so line that up that way. Now, if you have, like my first album that I made, didn't measure the pockets right, and so there was a little bit of this pocket sticking up. So what I did was I took this flap and I folded it down, and then if anything was sticking out, like this little flap right here, you probably can't see it on the camera, but this little piece was sticking out, so I just carefully took my X-Acto knife and just cut off what was sticking out, because you know that's what happens to me all the time. All right, so now again, right here's the 1/4 inch gusset here. So these are the 1/4 inch gussets. This one closes, and these are 1/2 inch gussets here. And then these are the flaps that open up, and they're 1 inch gussets. And that's how you make a little folio that I just made. So I will put the measurements in the description, like always, and let me know what you guys would like to see me make next. And if you see something on Pinterest that you want to know how to make, tag me on Pinterest or whatever, leave the link in the comment section or something, and I will see if the person has a tutorial out on it. I won't do one, like if they sell it or something, because that's not right. But you know, if they don't have any tutorial, then I will make one. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye.